Good morning. Good morning, pregame crew. Hope you are well. Audio visual check-in, please. Hi, Jorge, Christoph, Mid-Ohio Base, Lou, Sam, Widow Puppy, Tony, P-Court, Benjamin, and Dragon Man. Hi, Waken. Hi, Bobo. Thank you, Sam. Awesome. And again, I hope the resolution is better than what it used to be now that I'm on a new system. Shouldn't be fuzzy at all. We'll get started shortly. If you want my screen set up, you can screenshot it now. Hey, Matt, Muzak, Bob. My chart set up. These are my moving averages. The yellow candles are JC inside bars. My RSI is the CM Ultimate RSI time frame, and then I used a TTM Squeeze Think or Swim Default to measure the pressure cooker of price to see if we are building pressure for potential incoming volatility. Awesome. Hi, Mohammed and Callum, Matt. Lots of new faces this morning. Welcome. Hey, Veronica. I love the y'all. So I realize I go fast in the morning, but I need to get through all of these tickers. If there's ever anything that it's just too fast, always rewind. My purpose is not to go so fast and razzle dazzle and lose you. I want you to stay with me, but I do want to cover all the tickers as much as possible. We have had some fun volatility in the market. I hope you are making money and not getting hurt by it. Wonderful. Hey, Mustang. Thanks, Sam. All right, I'm going to delete my screen. I'm going to delete the chart setup, that is. All right. Every time I do that, I lose my levels. Okay, so we are pulling back this morning. Let me zoom out and get the levels for ES. So yesterday we were watching the 4-hour for a potential EQ. We have fallen out of that EQ now. Save hourly. So now we just had the job numbers come out. We are reacting slightly positively with those numbers. They came out right in here. So we are pulling back pretty hard. We have the potential for a little 5-minute inverse head and shoulders, and that looks like this. Here's the left shoulder, potential head. Now we look for symmetry on the right shoulder. Overall ES, we are oversold. Hourly RSI is at 25. So yesterday, this is what we were watching up here. We had the higher high, had this low, lower high, and we were looking to stay in that range. And then we pulled back pretty hard on low volume because it was overnight. Now let's see what the bulls can do during regular trading hours. Don't get spooked by this market. Be careful with the buzzwords that we're dumping and it's awful, and just be careful. Stay neutral. Just stay in the zone. Don't get overly emotional. So of the top 4, NASDAQ is doing the worst. What's new? NASDAQ does the worst in an inflation fear-fueled environment. That's a crazy alliteration. So with the NASDAQ, the QQQ names, high interest rates, just to make it simple for my brain, the QQQ names have the highest debt. So high interest rates will impact them the most negatively. Names that do well in a high interest rate environment are the financials. So they won't hurt as bad in high inflation fear environments. So the more, or if the Fed start picking up the taper tantrum talk saying they will taper their moves and measures to protect the economy, then inflation could creep in more. And that's what we see here. I promise you the why is not important. We get asked why more than any other question in the Chart Guys community. It's not important. And by the way, I'm Chart Gal Lori. Hi, I'm part of the Chart Guys community. We're a technical analysis community. We have over 1,000 members, and we post chart setups, we discuss charts, and we help traders learn how to trade. And those that want to be day traders, swing traders, there's tips to be learned by all. The game show, the pre-game show, it is the game show too. We do the Fab Four futures, we do commodities, we do crypto, and then movers and shakers and technical setups. Back to my point, the why. The why is not important. You can trade every single day without ever knowing the why. You don't need to know it. If you focus on this axis over here, the NASDAQ levels are on the screen, by the way, before I mark it all up. So we have the axis here. We have price and we have time. I can trade any instrument on this chart with price and time axis. That's what my focus is. Anything that happens off this two-dimensional chart is not my business. Now, I am in the mode of teaching, and I'm just a naturally curious person. So sometimes I do like to know why, and I piece together things from my business background and what I hear is going on in the economy, but you still don't need to know it. You do not need to have a business background, an economics background, know the macro or the micro to be able to trade. This is our axis, the X and Y, time and price. That's all we need to know to trade. And we're using the left side historical price action to attempt to predict probabilities of what's going to happen on the right side of the chart, which I like to call the blank space over here on the right side. So of our top four, NASDAQ is doing the worst. IWM's pulling back pretty hard, but it was really moving and grooving yesterday. So it's really just giving back some of those gains. And then we have ES and then the Dow. The Dow Industrials, with spending coming in infrastructure and inflation not hitting. I mean, Caterpillar, we're still going to need trucks to move roads and build highways. So industrials don't get hit as hard. So with the NASDAQ, let me go back to RTY. So on RTY, here are your levels. If you want to screenshot that, we're pulling back again, pulling back very hard. 15-minute RSI dip below 15. So today, what is your overall MO? You can make the most money on days like today when the market is pulling back hard. If you are a day trader and you have cash, if you're all in on Amazon or AMC overnight, you're not going to be able to take advantage of days like today. And that's the key in day trading, is to always have gas in the tank, i.e. fuel money, in order to trade. So days like today, when we have a trend trade, so that's the 8 EMA or 12 EMA, whichever one you want to use. Think about it. If this were the 12, it would be up here. Because that's 4 more time periods, it'd be pulled away. Look how much price is pulled away from the 8 EMA. That is a huge air pocket between price and the 8 EMA, showing the gravity or the force in which the bears are pulling down price. They're not even touching the 8 EMA. This is a trend trade. So as long as price stays below the 8 EMA, you stay in short. Wealth is built in bull markets. Fortunes are made in bear markets because we come down so fast. It's like gravity just goes away and we just drop. We drop so fast, or gravity comes in stronger, I guess is the right term. We pull down hard. So if we have a trend trade day, how will I know it's a trend trade day? I'm going to rely on internals. This is now not how I view internals. I don't view it on TradingView. I view it on Thinkorswim. I just like the way Thinkorswim looks at it more. So, or the way it's displayed a little bit more. I look at tick cumulative. What is tick? Tick is where they're buying more on the uptick than they're selling on the downtick. So we have the bid and we have the ask. When they're hitting the bid, we start pushing price up. They're hitting the bid buying. That means they're not motivated to push the price up and hit ask, and then vice versa. Overall, that means that we have more buying than selling, ADD. So this is the symbol in TradingView, ADD, advancers and decliners. Yesterday, we pulled back sharply at open. That means that we had more decliners than advancers on the NYSE, and at the end of the day, we saw this 1,000 tick, and we saw this pop in ADD. So if we open today and we have negative tick, my threshold is 600. If negative 600, we stay below that line and we stay negative and say the negative 400 range and below, and then we're below the 8 EMA. Do you see all my if-then categories? If it stays below 600 on tick here. If it stays below negative 500, let's say on ADD. if we're below the 8 EMA. That's a trend day. I'm not going to come out of my shorts. So on any bounce at this moment, I'm looking to short. And when we open, if the market internals change and they start looking more positive, then I'll back off my shorts. If they stay negative, it's kind of like keeping your foot on the gas. If the bears keep their foot on the gas when the market opens, I'm going to make money from that. I'm going to stay in my bearish trades as long as the trend, it's a trend trade. And that was probably one of my biggest puzzle pieces that I was missing in my first few years of trading, is when to identify a trend day and stay in those days. Those are 500-600% gains on options on a trend day. Okay, I've said enough about that. YM, we're not pulling back as hard. Here's your levels on YM if you want to screenshot that. And remember, on any bounce, we are looking for lower highs. So on any bounce, odds favor, we're going to get a lower high relative to 34,638. So just remember, any bounce, lower high, and that's on all four. NASDAQ, lower high. RTY, lower high. ES, lower high. The question becomes on ES, so on ES, the question is, are we going to get a bear flag? Or are we going to get an EQ, a nice size bounce, come back, get a higher low? Is that the scenario? Or are we going to get a bear flag? What will tell us that? Volume. Is it a dead cat bounce where bears are covering just to reposition themselves up at the 8 EMA? Or is this bulls actually stepping in and buying? We will know through volume, and that will tell us whether an EQ is most likely or a bear flag. All right, so that's our Fab 4 futures, beat the dead horse. Okay, gold's pulling back really hard. So you see how this looks different than ES on the hourly, and on the Fab 4 future, we bounce, and now we're already getting an hourly lower high. So on gold, 1884.30 is your next support, then 1879.30. Resistance, 1900, 1912, and 1914. So gold is bearish. We have lost the hourly uptrend. We have lost the 4-hour uptrend. And daily, we are getting a huge bearish candle that needs to hold key support for daily 1884. Oil looks great. Why does oil look great? Does well in an inflationary environment. That's why XLE, XLOM. So XLE, we need SPY and oil to be pulling in the same direction, so just be a little careful with that. But oil tends to do a little better. We've already broken through my resistance from my pre-market levels. So if you're trading oil, here's your levels. You can screenshot that. Okay. I'm just making sure I'm not missing anything. All right, so that is oil. Oil looks better than other commodities. However, oil pulled back pretty hard too. But on the 4-hour, do you see how much room we have for a higher low, and we're still in a trend trade on the 8 EMA? Look, candle closes above the 8 EMA. We stay in a bull trend. Oil looks great. Nothing crazy here. Oil looks fine. We do have inventory report. How do I know we have inventory report? Well, I know it's a holiday week, and oil inventory doesn't happen on Wednesdays when we're off on Mondays. It happens on Thursdays. And if you don't know that from memory, let's see. As part of the Chart Guys community on the whiteboard every day, Denzi posted for today, she's covering the whiteboard. Natural gas will happen at 10:30. Oil will happen at 11 a.m. If you don't have that information and you're not part of the Chart Guys community, you can always Google that. So that's the inventory reports. Now, okay, Bitcoin, this looks like a rising wedge to me. So those are your levels. We have a large range from the last 4-hour candle. But this looks like a rising wedge. Please be careful. What's a rising wedge? That's when we get a higher high, lower low, higher high with not a lot of follow through, lower low. Higher, tiny. Look, $300 on a $38,000 instrument, that's tiny. Look, another higher high. Same thing. Falling wedge, the way that I learned was it's like bouncing a ball on the floor. If you bounce and the bounces don't get as much follow through until it just dribbles, and then it reverses to the other side. That's what it looks like is happening with Bitcoin, but we have a rising wedge instead of a falling wedge, which is a bearish pattern. So with Bitcoin, It could also be the beginning of a head and shoulders, early pattern recognition, left shoulder, symmetry high, 39,051. Why do I say symmetry? Is you want your right shoulder to stay pretty symmetrical. We don't want hunchback of Notre Dame head and shoulders. So here's our head, and then this would be the symmetry around 39,000 for that right shoulder to top out if we hold the neckline of 38,540. Overall, Bitcoin is in an hourly uptrend, but it looks like it's at risk of losing it. So Ethereum has already lost the uptrend for the hourly. So here are your levels on Ethereum if you are trading it. On the 15-minute, let me give you some short-term support, 2772, then 266302. What happens when we pulled it back down into an area where we zoomed higher like this, wiped out the order book? What happens? Gravity just comes in full force and pulls us down because we have no order support in here because it got wiped out. So if we pull back down into this 2660 to 2800 range where we are now, we pull back down into it, we could just slide all the way down. Okay, Psycho Forex Trading, that's awesome, but please don't pub your service in our room. All right, AMC. So I'm using the fibs from yesterday's draw, from yesterday's low to the high. After hours, we did have volume, but look, it was not as high as intraday trading, so I'm going to stick with these fibs. So right now, 0.618, 58.47, look where we're getting stuck. So if you want to screenshot these levels, please feel free. Yesterday, $73 was our target. That was the end of the option chain on Tuesday. So that could come into play yesterday, and it did. And then today, here are the option chain. Here are the option chain levels for Tilray. The high from yesterday on option chain, 37, BB 30, 145 for AMC, and BBBY 185. And that's just in case those levels come into play today, so you have them. Of all the names, I like Tilray the best. So on AMC, they sold 11.5 million shares. What does that mean? That doesn't mean they added 11.5 million to their pie of charts and they expanded in dilution. That's not dilution. That means they're selling shares that they own to raise cash. March 31st, on their balance sheet, they had $813 million in cash. If they were to sell 11.5 million, now mind you, they've already sold 8.5 million this week. So let's say they sell all 20 million this week. They sell it all for $70, which is probably not likely. They're going to get a lot lower, obviously. Then that is $1.4 billion added to their balance sheet. That is, they have effectively doubled their balance sheet by selling $20 million in shares. Also, the CEO came out, or on the 8K, they warned how the valuation was inflated and to be careful. So let's see how many diamond hands we have on this. This is very negative news. If this were Amazon, it would be tarred and feathered and march through the Wall Street if this was Amazon and it did this. But this has a totally different effect, so just remember that. Okay. Yeah, it is an open chat. Thanks, Muzak. Infinity? True. BB. So on BB, here are your levels. So on BB, here are the fibs. These are just fibs if you're interested. So on the 15-minute, we got hung up at the 0.618, and then the next level, 1824. This one has no negative news. So just remember, AMC may have heaviness, but it is the hype name. NIO, our short worked yesterday. If you are interested in fibs for this name, here you go. If we were to come up to 40.43, 41.27, actually this was my best trade of yesterday. Of all the trades I did, this was my best one, the short that I talked about in pregame yesterday. So here are your levels for NIO. I am looking short again, but I won't be pig-headed about it. And okay. So NOK, if you want the fibs, here you go. 606 would be the next fib target. NOK goes up to $10. So $10 would be right above that most recent high in January. So that's where the option chain goes up. I don't know if this thing has the oomph in the juice. So we average volume 48 million. We did 3 times that. Yesterday, they'd have to really bring it in order to get that high. Okay, next name. Tilray is my favorite. This is my king of the mountain for the day. Tilray, $37 is where the option chain stopped. Here are your levels. If it pulls back to $19, I'm going to give it 30 cents wiggle room. And they got to upgrade today, some type of price initiation upgrade. So positive news plus Momo, that's my formula. So I like this name. This is my favorite. Here are your levels. All right, so here are your levels. I'm most interested in Tilray on a pullback, but I will be watching AMC. So I will have AMC on another screen. If AMC is dumping hard, Tilray may not be able to move. Same thing with the market. I will be watching QQQ, SPY, and AMC in order to trade Tilray. QQQ, we're losing that 32963 support. 32624 is your next fib, 32949. So here are your levels on QQQ. Very important to know this. What happened? We talked about it on NASDAQ, but let's look at it on QQQ. So we came up, got that lower high, and we rolled over on the 4-hour. 4-hour, we had that huge range Tuesday. We stayed within that range yesterday, and we're breaking bear today. So on the daily, let's look at things. On the daily, we're going to break bear out of this inside bar situation. The 21 EMA is down at 330.60. 330.60 is key for me to have a candle close above the 21 EMA. That's our mean reversion. So we need to stay above the mean. Reverting to the mean is totally healthy. 32733, a prior key resistance, may become support if we really start dumping even heavier today. All right. Also, so you know, if I ever get preachy, I have experience. Experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. I have experience from pain in trading, not doing things the right way. So that gives me experience. So just know that if you're doing things wrong, I've probably done it wrong like you've done it 20 times. So I am coming from a place of not getting what I want, and that gives me experience. One of the things that I've also grappled with in the past is being obsessed with one ticker. I have an obsession with Amazon, Tesla, and Nat Gas. I'm over my obsession with Nat Gas. I'm getting over my obsession with Amazon and Tesla. Stay with the tickers that are working. Don't just get so focused on a name, especially if it's not yielding you results. Don't get so focused on one name and you come trade it come heck or high water. Tesla short, man, did that work, huh? So here are your levels. They had more recall news today, so I mapped out some lower Tesla levels in case you're interested. As long as these 15-minute and hourly EMAs stay overhead, why go long Tesla on an oversold bounce for sure. But when it comes back and kisses that 8 EMA, it's a trend until it isn't. Look at this rounded top. A bear's jumping in on every pop. So on Tesla, I would be short today if I were not focused on Tilray and AMC. Tilray and AMC are my focuses today. Let's look over here. We just got a few minutes. ETFDB.com, you can look at your exposure. Okay, so on tools, not that. Not that. My computer is very sleepy. Stock exposure tool. Let's look at AMC. How many ETFs is it in? It's in 10 ETFs. That's not a lot. Why do I pull that up? That means AMC can do whatever the heck it wants to do. It is part of IWM. That's IWM. It's good to know. But it can do pretty much whatever the heck it wants to do. It can be a money badger, a honey badger without sticking to the market. So names like AMC can go up while the market's going down and vice versa. So remember, it's not heavily tied to an ETF. And then finally, SPY. So here are some new levels on SPY that have happened since I mapped this. So here are your SPY levels for the day. How do I keep it simple? What are my rules for the day if I want to trade SPY? As long as the 15-minute EMA stay overhead, I stay bearish. If we can get a candle close above the 8 and 21 EMA, then I will look to go neutral to bullish. If I were trading SPY, we got to get up and over the 8 and 21 EMA, and they got to become support. Right now, they're an electric fence, zapping price every time it goes up and touches it. So be careful with your bias today. Check it at the door. It has no place in trading. I hope you use stop losses. Thank you for joining us today. Hi, Claude, John, David. Okay, you want to look at ES? All right, we'll look at ES again. So ES, we got to find out what happens when volume picks up. When we open today, what happens? Now we're going into area that dumped pretty hard, so we could move up with ease if we have the bull volume. So your next resistance on ES is 4,200 psychological, and then 4,203.50, then 416950. So Captain Tony, that's asking which baby to save. If you have limited time, I would say the swing report, so you can set your trades up on the weekend or at night or in the morning and not have to look at it day. So the community teaches day trading and swing trading, so either or will help you in your endeavor, but I would say probably the swing report if you have very limited time. QS for Jared, and then we'll be done for the day. So QS, what we were watching was this falling wedge yesterday on the daily, and it broke bull. Terrible falling wedge drawing. We hit 29.10, and now we're pulling back pretty hard. This is not what the bulls want to see from that break yesterday. So we may have to give the bulls a breather. They ran. So look at this psychology yesterday. Look at this. This is running hard. When you sprint and you give it all you got with all the volume you got, sometimes you have to pull back and come to the bench, grab some water, get a towel, just kind of take a breath. But I would say 27.30, 27.20, that needs to hold during regular trading hours in order for the bulls to get any more momentum today. Bears will be looking to short this $29 up here. They will be looking to short it because of the magnitude in which we pulled back. What was the volume yesterday? Volume was a little bit more than average. That's not a crazy amount. So the Bears may have success up at $29, but those are your levels on QS. Oh, thanks, Calvin. Awesome, Bobby, Aisha, hi. All right, everybody. So good seeing y'all. I've already done AMC if you want to go rewind and look at it. Use stop losses, and TCGers, I'll see you in the room. Let's go listen to Denzi live.